Today I am going to share with you 8 powerful psychological tricks that will allow you to instantly read a person and use this knowledge to your advantage. Success in life is not just about talent, it is also about the ability to understand people. People can be complex, but their behavior, words and body language actually give you a lot of clues. By the end of this video, you will be able to understand people better and learn how to use this knowledge to communicate more effectively or achieve your own goals. If you want to support us, you can become a paid subscriber and contribute to the production of videos. Let's get started. Body language. It says more than words. People often say much more with their body language than they do with their words. Verbal communication is important, but body language is a unique tool for understanding a person's true feelings and intentions. These movements, often unconscious, reveal a person's emotional state. The movements of the arms, hands, and feet are very revealing. For example, crossing one's arms may be perceived as defensive or closed off. However, it can be misleading to immediately interpret this as a negative sign. The person may simply be cold or looking for a comfortable position. Similarly, keeping the hands open is a sign of honesty and sincerity, whereas frequently putting the hands in the pockets or rubbing them can indicate nervousness or a desire to hide something. The feet are also an overlooked but very important part of body language. People usually turn their feet in the direction they are interested in, so if someone you are talking to has their feet pointing in a different direction, they are likely to be distracted or want to end the conversation. Feet that are constantly moving are often a sign of tension, stress, or impatience. However, someone who crosses their feet may have a relaxed and confident posture. Posture says a lot about a person's confidence and mood. An upright and open posture is a sign of self-confidence, while a posture with shoulders slumped inward can be a sign of nervousness or insecurity. A person's facial expressions, especially micro-expressions, play an important role in understanding their true feelings. Emotions such as surprise, interest, or anger can be clearly expressed through the movement of the eyebrows and lips. A sincere smile can be recognized by the movement of the muscles around the eyes, whereas a smile that only involves the lips can often feel artificial. Pursing or biting the lips is often a sign of tension or discomfort. A person's distance and touch can also be crucial in understanding the nature of the relationship. Keeping a close distance is often a sign of intimacy, while keeping a physical distance makes you feel that you respect the person's boundaries. Body language is a whole, not just a clue. However, it is very important to consider the context when interpreting these clues. It would be wrong to think that a person who crosses their arms in a cold environment is defensive. This is why interpreting body language in combination with other factors gives the most accurate result. Mastering the art of reading body language will enable you to access people's true thoughts more quickly and improve your communication skills. Mirroring technique, the secret key to bonding. Mirroring is a powerful communication technique that allows you to connect with another person by gently imitating their behavior, posture, speech, or gestures. People feel more trust and closeness to people who are similar to them. Mirroring supports this natural tendency and can be used effectively in social and professional settings. However, it is very important to use this technique correctly, otherwise it can create an artificial impression. Mirroring begins with body language. Pay close attention to the way the other person sits, stands, or moves. For example, if your interviewer leans forward slightly, you can adopt a similar posture. However, it is important that these movements look natural. Exaggerated or spontaneous imitations can make the person feel uncomfortable. This technique is not limited to physical behavior either. Tone of voice, speed of speech, and choice of words are also elements that can be used for imitation. If the other person speaks slowly and calmly, You can create a more harmonious communication by speaking at the same speed and with the same intonation. Mirroring works not only in face-to-face communication, but also in digital environments. In correspondence, adapting to the language and style of the other person can increase sincerity. However, mirroring should not be done in a manipulative way, but with the aim of creating a natural connection. This is because people often recognize fake behavior, and this can undermine trust. It is therefore important to use mirroring in a careful and balanced way to increase mutual trust. The mirroring technique is also a strong indicator of empathy. Responding in a similar way to another person by trying to understand their behavior and emotions deepens the relationship between you. For example, if a friend seems anxious or upset when talking to you, you can connect with them more easily by adopting an attitude that matches their emotional state. This will make them feel more understood. Similarly, in business, mirroring is a powerful tool for building trust. During a negotiation or interview, adapting to the other person's posture and speaking style can help you build a stronger connection with them. When used strategically, mirroring becomes more than just a communication tool. It becomes a skill that deepens your relationships. However, for this technique to be successful in the long term, it must be based on sincerity and naturalness. Just as people feel closer to people who are similar to them, they are also quick to spot fake behavior. Therefore, learning and practicing the mirroring technique is a great way to strengthen your communication skills in both your personal and professional life. Eye contact and eye movements. Eye contact is perhaps one of the most effective ways of communicating between people. It conveys not only what you are saying, but also how you are feeling. While correct eye contact is perceived as a sign of trust, sincerity, and interest, it can cause discomfort or insecurity when used incorrectly. People often use eye contact consciously during a conversation, but eye movements are often unconscious and therefore provide valuable clues to understanding a person's true thoughts. The first step in making the right eye contact is to establish a natural connection with the other person. Looking intensely and fixedly while making eye contact can be overwhelming or uncomfortable. Instead, establish a natural rhythm by occasionally looking away during the conversation. Constant eye contact can make the other person feel uncomfortable, especially during introductions or informal settings. However, breaking eye contact completely or missing it frequently can be interpreted as a sign of disinterest or mistrust. Ideally, it is enough to maintain eye contact 60 to 70% of the time. Eye movements provide important information about a person's emotional state and thought process. For example, if a person looks up when asked a question, they are usually trying to remember or imagine something. Moving the eyes to the right or left can indicate that the person is looking for information or mentally trying to make a decision. Looking down is often seen as a sign of embarrassment, shyness, or brooding. However, it is important to remember that these gestures can vary depending on the context. For example, if a person frequently looks down, it may not only be a sign of embarrassment, but also of emotional reflection or deep thought. Eye contact is a powerful tool not only for reassuring others, but also for gaining their trust. In important situations, such as job interviews, conversations, or social gatherings, making eye contact expresses both your confidence and your interest in the other person. In addition, using eye contact effectively is also very useful in a conversation to attract attention and make what you are saying more convincing. For example, if you are telling a story or defending an idea, making direct eye contact with the other person will make your words more impressive and convincing. Similarly, eye contact is also effective in creating an emotional connection. Especially in close relationships, making eye contact for a long time can increase the feeling of intimacy and trust. However, The length of time will vary depending on the nature of the relationship and the comfort level of both parties. If you notice that the other person is uncomfortable, it would be more appropriate to ease up on the eye contact. Making eye contact in the right way helps both to strengthen the emotional bond and to clarify communication. Finally, eye contact and gestures can be interpreted more accurately when combined with other elements of body language. Taken together with other cues such as eye direction, facial expression and posture, it is much easier to understand a person's true feelings and intentions. Correct eye contact deepens communication and strengthens relationships. Learning to use this powerful tool consciously and effectively can make all the difference in your personal and professional life. Hidden messages. Under the words. The words people say often do not fully reflect their true thoughts and feelings. Underneath the words are often hidden messages that they are not even aware of. Understanding these hidden messages is one of the keys to deeper communication and understanding the other person's real intentions. The choice of words, the points emphasized, and the flow of the conversation can give away a person's unconscious feelings. It is therefore important to pay attention not only to what is said, but also to how it is said. If a person repeats certain words over and over again when talking about a topic, this usually indicates that these words are important to them. For example, if a person often uses phrases such as "really" or "I'm sure," they may be trying to convince themselves or you. Similarly, if a person gives too much detail when describing an event, this is often a sign of defensiveness. This may indicate that they feel they need to explain something or that they are trying to hide something. Emphasized words are also worth noting. If a person emphasizes a particular word or phrase, it may be a point that she wants to emphasize or that is important to her. For example, if a person uses the word "I" a lot, you can tell that they are putting themselves at the center of the conversation and may be trying to defend themselves. On the other hand, if they use the word "we" a lot, they may be more open to cooperation or collaboration. Another important consideration is the intonation of words. The same word can have a completely different meaning with a different intonation. For example, the phrase "yes, of course" may have an affirmative meaning if the intonation is sincere, but a completely different message if the intonation is sarcastic. Therefore, when interpreting a person's words, you should pay attention to their intonation and emphasis. The flow of speech can also give clues to a person's emotional state. Fluent and coherent speech usually indicates that the person is confident and comfortable. However, frequent pauses in speech or hesitation in completing sentences are often signs of tension or internal conflict. For example, if a person uses a lot of filler words such as or "well" when answering a question, this may indicate that they are trying to collect their thoughts or are struggling to give the right answer. Also, when focusing on what a person is saying, it is important to pay attention to what they are not saying rather than what they are saying. Sometimes, avoiding a topic or giving superficial answers to questions can indicate that the person is uncomfortable talking about it or is trying to hide something. In these cases, you can get a fuller picture by looking at other elements of communication, such as the person's body language or eye movements. Understanding the hidden messages behind words allows you to better understand not only the emotional state of the other person, but also the dynamics of your relationship. This is particularly useful in business negotiations or social relationships. People usually consciously choose their words carefully, but hidden messages come from the subconscious mind and often reveal one's true thoughts. Recognizing these hidden clues can take your communication skills to the next level and help you become a more effective listener. In conclusion, understanding the hidden messages behind a person's words means trying to understand not only what they are saying, but also why they are saying it. This involves paying attention to both the words and the way they are said. As you develop this skill, you can more easily understand the true intentions and feelings of the people around you and take your relationships to a deeper level. Direct people with questions. Questions are an extremely effective way of directing the other person's thoughts and gaining more information in communication. However, asking the right questions can not only elicit answers, but also shape the other person's thinking and perspective. Getting people to develop thoughts in line with your prompts without them realizing it requires the strategic use of questions. This skill is an extremely valuable communication tool in both social and business relationships. The power of questions often has more impact than a direct command or suggestion. For example, asking someone, "What benefits will we get when we complete this project?" rather than "complete this project now," can both increase their motivation and make them work more harmoniously with you. Open-ended questions are particularly useful for gaining a deeper understanding of a topic or exploring the other person's ideas and feelings. Questions such as, "What do you think about this?" or "How can we improve this situation?" allow the person to express their thoughts more fully. Closed questions are more effective in giving direction. Such questions usually require short answers, such as yes or no, and can be used to guide a decision. For example, "Does it make sense to implement this strategy?" may lead the other person to think in a certain way. However, overuse of closed questions can limit communication and prevent the other person from expressing themselves. It is therefore important to use a balance of open and closed questions. The order and tone of the questions are also very important. Starting with general questions that the other person feels comfortable with will make it easier to move on to more in-depth topics. For example, a question such as, "How are you feeling about the project these days?" can set the stage for more personal and specific questions. Also, using a gentle and caring tone will prevent the other person from becoming defensive and allow them to speak more openly. To guide people with questions, you can take an approach that allows the person to develop their own ideas and shape them in the direction you want them to go. For example, if a friend is in the process of making a decision, you can ask a question such as, "How will this option benefit you in the long run?" and get them to focus on the benefits you have in mind. This method makes it easier for the other person to accept your ideas because they feel they are their own. Questions are also a powerful way to empathize and understand the other person's feelings. For example, if you notice that someone is going through a difficult situation, questions such as, "How has this process affected you?" or "How can I help you?" can make the person feel valued. Such questions can be used not only to gather information, but also to make an emotional connection and show support. Finally, listening carefully to the answers is as important as asking the right questions. Understanding the other person's answers and creating new questions based on them deepens communication and increases mutual trust. The more carefully you choose your questions, the more satisfying the results will be. This technique can be used effectively in both one-to-one relationships and group dynamics. Leading people with questions not only allows you to understand their thought processes, but also to direct your communication more effectively. Developing this skill not only strengthens your relationships, but also maximizes your leadership and problem-solving skills. Create an environment where people are comfortable. One of the most important elements in understanding people's true thoughts, feelings, and behaviors is creating an environment where they feel comfortable. A comfortable environment allows people to express themselves more freely, reduce their defenses, and act naturally. Creating this environment is a critical step in both establishing honest communication and gaining the other person's trust. People are more open and honest when they can speak without fear of being judged or misunderstood. The first step in creating a comfortable environment is to show interest in the other person and a willingness to listen. This can be achieved through both verbal and non-verbal communication. For example, smiling, supporting what the other person is saying by nodding your head in agreement, or speaking in a warm tone of voice creates a friendly atmosphere. At the same time, listening carefully without interrupting makes the person feel valued. Demonstrating a non-judgmental attitude and empathizing with the person's feelings are also cornerstones of a comfortable environment. The physical environment also plays an important role in comfort. The layout, lighting, and seating of the room in which the interview takes place can all affect how the person feels. For example, a comfortable seating arrangement encourages people to communicate more openly. On the other hand, rigid and distant seating often creates a formal atmosphere and can make people feel closed off. If you want to create an intimate atmosphere during a meeting or conversation, it can be effective to adjust the seating so that it is softer and faces each other. The content of the conversation can also affect the comfort of the environment. Forcing a person to talk about a sensitive topic that they are uncomfortable with can create tension. Instead, you can start with more general and superficial topics and move on to deeper issues when you feel the person is relaxed. Also, giving the person enough space and time to express themselves will allow them to speak freely. A hasty or oppressive approach may cause the person to become defensive. To provide emotional comfort, it is very important to show empathy and accept the other person's feelings. For example, if a person expresses sadness or anxiety, validating their feelings with statements such as, "It is natural to feel this way," or "I understand," will make them feel safer. At the same time, it increases the person's trust in you and makes it easier for you to establish deeper communication. Another way to create an intimate environment is to connect through common interests or experiences. People find it easier to trust and feel comfortable with people who share similar interests. Therefore, finding common ground during a conversation and maintaining communication through these topics can make a person feel more comfortable. This is a very effective method not only in social relationships, but also in professional environments. Finally, respecting the other person's boundaries is an essential part of creating a comfortable environment. If the person is not ready to talk about certain topics, it is better to come back to them when the time is right, rather than forcing them. It is also important to consider personal space, such as physical distance. Standing too close or invading someone's personal space can cause discomfort and have a negative impact on communication. Creating an environment where people feel comfortable not only strengthens communication, but also allows you to build deeper and more meaningful relationships. This skill is a huge advantage in both personal and business life. With the right approach and a sincere attitude, you can help those around you express themselves more openly and honestly, laying the foundation for trust and commitment. Understand the mutual interest relationship. Much of the interaction between people is based on relationships of mutual interest, whether we are aware of it or not. This is an inherent part of any relationship and applies in both social and professional contexts. Understanding the mutual interest relationship means recognizing the other person's needs, expectations, and motivations. Being able to analyze this correctly allows you to communicate more effectively and achieve balance in your relationships. Each person approaches a relationship or situation according to his or her own needs and goals. For example, in a job interview, both the employer and the candidate hope to benefit from each other. The employer is looking for a qualified employee, while the candidate is looking for a suitable job. Understanding this dynamic requires recognizing what each party is looking for and acting accordingly. Understanding each other's interests is one of the most important steps in building a stronger relationship. The first step in understanding this relationship is empathy. Try to understand what the other person wants and needs and why they behave the way they do. For example, if a friend often asks you for advice, you may realize that they value your wisdom and need your guidance. In this case, you are contributing not only by giving advice, but also by understanding his or her needs. Similarly, in a business setting, if a colleague offers to help you with a project, it may be not only to collaborate, but also to create an opportunity for their own benefit. Understanding such situations will help you build healthier and more productive relationships. Another important step in understanding the relationship of mutual interest is to clarify your own motivations and goals. What do you want from this relationship? What can this relationship offer you? Answering these questions will enable you to assess the other person's needs in relation to your own expectations. For example, knowing that both you and the other person are trying to achieve the same goal by working together can make the relationship more effective and balanced. Another factor to consider in these relationships is balance. If one party always provides more benefits, this can weaken the relationship. For example, if you constantly support a friend but do not receive the same support in return, this imbalance can create tension in your relationship over time. Similarly, if you constantly contribute to a project at work but feel that your efforts are not appreciated, this can demotivate you. Therefore, do not underestimate the importance of mutual benefit and express it clearly. Understanding mutual benefit also requires open communication. Being clear about your needs, expectations, and limits will avoid misunderstandings and frustrations. For example, if you offer support to a colleague, expressing that you expect the same support from him or her when needed can help stabilize your relationship. This kind of open communication not only increases mutual trust, but also helps to build a solid foundation for the relationship in the long term. Finally, understanding and managing such relationships should not be confused with manipulation. Understanding a mutually beneficial relationship doesn't mean using someone else's needs to serve your own interests. Instead, it is about finding a fair and respectful balance where both parties can benefit. This ensures that trust and intimacy are maintained in both personal and professional relationships. Understanding the relationship between mutual interests is a great advantage not only in personal relationships, but also in situations such as teamwork, collaboration, and leadership. By understanding people's needs and expectations, you can build stronger bonds and work more effectively to achieve common goals. This understanding is key to building successful and fulfilling relationships in both personal and professional life. Harness the power of silence. Silence is an often overlooked but extremely powerful tool in communication. People often tend to speak to fill in the gaps, but when used correctly, silence can deepen a conversation, stimulate reflection, and have a powerful impact. Silence goes beyond words and allows you to understand the thoughts and feelings of both you and the other person. It is therefore important to understand and strategically use the power of silence as an effective communication tool. Silence often encourages a deep process of reflection. Remaining silent after asking someone a question gives them time to consider their answer carefully. People often start talking during silence to explain themselves or to fill the gap. This makes it easier for the other person to express their true thoughts and feelings. For example, if you raise an idea during a discussion, silence allows the other person to share more information. This is particularly effective in strategic communication moments, such as job interviews or negotiations. Silence is also an effective way of establishing an emotional connection, especially when a person is facing a difficult situation or experiencing an emotional moment. Being with them in silence can make them feel supported. Words can sometimes be inadequate, and in such cases, silence can send a powerful message of understanding and empathy. When a person is unable to express their feelings in words, being with them in silence can be a powerful way to build a strong bond. Using silence as a strategic tool in conversations allows you to listen more attentively to the other person's thoughts. Remaining silent shows that you are an active listener and that you care about what the other person is saying. People often feel more valued and understood when they feel they are being listened to carefully during a conversation. This approach strengthens communication and builds trust. Silence can also be a way of gaining control and establishing authority. When you remain silent during a discussion or negotiation, you give the other person a chance to reevaluate his or her thoughts and make your own position more strongly felt. Silence allows you to avoid making a hasty decision and to react more deliberately. For example, if you receive an offer, remaining silent for a while rather than responding immediately may force the other person to reconsider their offer and give you an advantage. Silence can also be used to emphasize the importance of a point. Pausing after something you have said increases the impact of your words and allows the other person to digest the message. For example, remaining silent after making an important point in a presentation helps the audience to focus on that point and increases the power of your message. Of course, silence is not always appropriate and can be uncomfortable if misused. Silence should be used to deepen communication and make it meaningful, not to put pressure on the other person or make them feel uncomfortable. For example, too much silence can make a person feel uncomfortable. It is therefore important to judge the length and context of the silence. In conclusion, silence can be used as an effective communication tool in both personal and professional relationships. When used correctly, silence can help you build a deeper connection with the other person, express your thoughts more clearly, and make your communication more meaningful. When you understand the power of silence, you begin to pay attention not only to words, but also to gaps in communication, making you a more effective communicator. Being able to read a person and use that knowledge to your advantage is a learnable skill. The 8 psychological tricks we share today are powerful tools to help you on this journey. If you enjoyed this video and would like to learn more, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also, if you let us know in the comments what topics you are most curious about, we can tailor our future videos accordingly. Remember, people can be complex, but with the right techniques, it is possible to understand and manage their behavior. Take care and see you in the next video.